Reach new heights and become the person you're meant to be. It's time for the Kirt Gonzales Show.
Welcome to the Kirt Gonzales Show. Last week, I received a call that one of my very good friends that I have known for quite a number of years committed suicide. It was a huge shock, not just to me, but to everyone who knew her, because she seemed to be a very happy person that was full of life and had a great career, had everything going for her, but she committed suicide. And when I received the call, I started asking, why didn't you call me? You know I'm a therapist, why didn't you call me? But then I began to play in my mind the 3 times in my life when I felt total hopelessness and I felt that it was just not worth living. Mental health is a very serious issue in our country. It is something that's being talked about quite a bit now, but I don't think a lot of people truly understand the severity and seriousness of what a person goes through when they are dealing with severe mental depression. I would like to play a clip from a seminar that I did last year when I was talking to some young people. It was a youth seminar, a youth mental health seminar. And I'll also like to talk about the 3 times in my life when I felt total hopelessness. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Thank you all for coming. I know this is a Sunday, and I really appreciate you guys taking your time out to come and spend your time and learn more about mental health, because that's one of the top issues a lot of schools are having these days with mental health and anxiety. So with that, this is Elevate Us. I'm the founder, Christine Franklin and James Carter, the co-founders. We have Sherry Thomas on our board. Dr. Kirt Gonzales is here all the way from North Carolina to speak to you on mental health. We also have Robert Andrews here as part of our board. He bought all of your gift items for today. We also have Yvonne White, who's also on our board, who's one of our team mentors. We'll also talk about mental health as well. So she'll be part of the panel with the questions and answers. Relationships are important. You need people around you, a community around you that's going to elevate you. Can't elevate us. You need a community around you. So the more that you connect with different people, the more you broaden that community. And you don't know who you're going to meet. You can meet someone on vacation in France, or you just all these different connections. So the more you connect with people, the more you broaden and widen how far you're reaching.
So it's okay to go get help. If somebody puts some stigma on you for that, know that that's their issue, not yours.
Find someone to talk to, who we go to and talk to. Sometimes there is no one, because you have girls that are around us, or sometimes it's guys even as well. Like, you have to act like you're okay, around these girls because of a certain persona that they put on and a certain persona you want to upkeep. But you have to remember as well to be yourself at all times, to not let anything that's around you affect how you feel about yourself.
But the silent killer, depression, that millions of people suffer and deal with. In the United States, they said, I think the statistics said it's like every 11 minutes someone commits suicide in the United States. I think worldwide they said like every 3 seconds. So just in this time alone that we've been here, there have been quite a few people that have committed suicide. Welcome back, guys. As I was saying previously, mental health is a very serious issue in our country. There were 3 times in my life when I felt total hopelessness, and one of those times I have shared publicly, but the other 2 I have really not spoken about it, but I'm going to share about it today. The first time I was in my late teens, about 20 years old, and everything was going wrong for me, at least so it seemed. It seemed as if everything was just going wrong. I was not working. I just was not doing anything with my life. I felt like a complete failure to myself, my family, my church. I felt that no one cared. And the depression was weighing so heavily on me. At that time, I really did not know what to do. I was extremely young. I did not know what to do. And I felt like I had no one to turn to. And I tried praying and asking God, please take away this pain, take away this anguish. Help me to find purpose in my life. But it seemed as if nothing was working, nothing. It seemed as if my prayers was just hitting a brick wall. I felt so all alone in this world. I felt completely useless. I knew I was talented. I mean, I had accomplished a lot in my teenage years, being the #1 junior tennis player in my country, representing my school at representing my school at public speaking competitions, representing my country at international junior tennis tournaments. I did quite a bit, but yet still I felt useless. And at that point in time, because of the severe depression that I was going through, I felt that I just don't want to live anymore. And so one night, about 11:30 p.m., I decided to end it all. And what I did was, I took some germicide, insecticide, things that you put in the plants, and I drank a little bit of it. And then after I drank a little bit of it, I walked myself to the hospital, because the hospital was not very far from where I was. And when I got there, all I said to them was, I just drank poison because I don't want to live. And that was it. The nurses, the attendants came across from their desk. They all grabbed me. They took me inside, started to do vitals, started to do all what they needed to do to pump the poison from my system and all of that. And while in the hospital the very next day, they called my family, and my family came to see me the very next day. And I was looking at them while laying there in that hospital bed, and I loved my mother, I loved my family, but at that point I really did not want to live. I felt useless. Fortunately for me, I survived, and I went on to do, after that, I went on to start my degree and all of that. But that was the very first time in my life when I felt total anguish and total despair. But I got over that hump. The second time, I was in the United States, and I had just graduated with my first PhD, because I have 2 PhDs, one in theology and one in Christian counseling. And I just graduated with my first PhD. And for whatever reason, my pastor at the time did not want anyone acknowledging me by my title. And she started saying a lot of things that were absolutely untrue about me, just to try to discredit me and from what, the way people were now seeing me with a title as doctor. And one Sunday morning, and mind you, I had known this pastor since I was a teenager. So when my family and I migrated to the U.S., I just went to her church. And one Sunday morning, she got up on the pulpit, and every single thing that I have ever told her from that I experienced as a child, all of my secrets, all of my private stuff that I shared with her in private and in confidence, she got up on top of the pulpit and shared it with the church. That was one of the most devastating things in my life. I walked out of the church. I went home. I laid in my bed and I cried and I cried and I cried. I did not eat all day that Sunday. The next day, the Monday, I just laid in my bed. I did not want to shower. I did not want to eat. I did not want to see anybody. All I wanted was just to die. Because in my mind, how can someone that I loved so much, admired and respected so much, could have done this terrible thing to me? And for what? All day Monday, I laid in my bed, did not eat, did not shower, did not do anything, just wanting to die. The next day, the same thing. Did not eat, did not shower. I just lay there in bed, asking God over and over, please take me out of this world. I am begging you, take me. That went on the Monday, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, and it was around the Thursday morning that my mother came into my room and said, for the last few days, you did not eat. I did not see you do anything. You have been locked away in this room. You are not going to lay here and die. Literally grabbed me by my hand, started calling on the Lord, grabbing me by my hand, pulling me out of that bed, saying, you are not going to stay here and die. Literally forced me into the kitchen to have something to eat and to get myself together. And my mother was just going through the house, praying and calling on God. Slowly, I started pulling myself out of the funk and trying slowly to get myself together. But it was a huge hill to climb because I was so severely depressed. And even though, unlike the first time, I did not try to do anything, in my mind, I just wanted to go. I did not want to be here anymore because I was severely betrayed and hurt by someone that I admired, respected, and loved. The third time. This was in 2014. My sister was murdered by her boyfriend right in our home in September of 2013. And right after my sister's death, I legally adopted her two daughters as my own kids, moved them from New York to North Carolina to live with me. But I really did not have time to grieve for my sister's death because the moment she died, I was just engrossed in taking care of everybody else. Things were really, really difficult. Going from being single and taking care of my own and living my own life to now having two kids to be taken care of. One day I was driving down the road and I was asking God, why am I in this situation? Why? And I was praying and I was asking God why. And then it just dawned on me. Why don't you just run the car off the road and get it over with? And I was driving down the street, and I could remember like if it was yesterday, the severe depression that I was feeling at that time. I was going to church every single Sunday. I was going to work. I was smiling with everybody, but nobody understood the depression that I was going through at that time. And I felt that I just could not talk to anybody because, after all, I'm the one with the title of doctor. I'm the one that is supposed to be the therapist. Who can I talk to? Who would understand? And I'm driving down the street, and I'm looking for a place to run my car off the road and end my life. And I'm looking, and it was like, I cannot describe in that moment. I can remember it like if it was yesterday, but it is difficult to describe the weight that I felt while driving that car. And I'm looking for a place, and the best place possible to run my car off the road. And then it dawned on me, what if you run this car off the road and the only thing that happens is the car is damaged, but you survive? Now you have an even bigger problem, or an additional problem. So I had to pull my car off the side of the road and just scream and cry and cry and cry. And I had to beg and ask God, help me to get over this depression. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You know, when I was thinking of him, there were so many things I was going through my mind, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go and just give a whole bunch of facts and mental health and all of that. And believe it or not, yesterday, I was praying, and I felt the Lord say to me, throw out all those facts. Right? I mean, this is the day before the event, right? You know, so I wanted to get a little bit personal, you know, and talk about mental health from a personal experience. All right. In 2019, I was sitting in my house, glued to my television, watching Chesley Christ, because I'm from North Carolina, that's where I live. So Miss North Carolina competing at the Miss USA pageant. And I was so excited because she used to go to Wake Forest University, which is one of the schools in North Carolina, and I used to work there for a while. So I was so excited, and then she won the Miss USA pageant, and I was elated because here she's now going to represent the USA at the Miss Universe pageant. She went on to represent us and made it into the top 10 at the Miss Universe pageant. She had her law degree. She was on television as a correspondent. Beautiful girl. Literally had a gold spoon in her mouth. Then America was shocked when Chesley, this woman who seemed to have had everything, jumped through her window in New York, a high-rise building, and jumped to her death. Now, there was a whole lot of talk concerning mental health around that time. And here's the thing. A lot of people who suffers from mental health don't even know they have a mental illness. Mental health, it affects the way we think, It affects our emotions. It affects our behavior, how we think, how we feel, how we act. The million-dollar question was, why would somebody who seemed to have had everything jump to her death at the age of 30? Now, I could relate. Because in 2014, driving my car, going down the street, I was looking for some way to run my car off the road. I was in so much of pain at that time. And I'm looking and, okay, this looked like, for about 2 minutes, I was looking for somewhere to literally drive my car off the road and end life. And then it came to me, what if you run this car off the road and the car get damaged but you survive? Now you have a whole set of other problems. So I had to pull my car to the side of the road, started screaming and screaming and banging on my dashboard, screaming and asking God, why? You see, 6 months before that, my sister, who were just 1 year apart and was always in each other's lives, was brutally murdered by her boyfriend right in our house. It was a very abusive relationship. She decided to end it. He came to the house one day, sent her 2 daughters who were 15 and 5 years old at the time. This was in 2013. Sent them to the corner store, shot my sister 3 times in her stomach, and as she lay lifeless on the floor, pointed the gun to the back of her head and shot her 3 more times at the back of her head to ensure that she was dead. And then he ran. Then here comes these 2 girls from the store to find their mother dead on the floor. My mother only had the 2 kids, my sister and I. So when my sister died, I buried my sister, took custody of her 2 daughters, and I had to be there for everybody, taking care of everybody, but nobody was understanding the pain that I was in. Because of the fact that my sister's murder was a high-profile case, I was constantly in the media because they were looking for the guy that killed me. So I always had to put on a brave face, smile every day for the cameras, but I was screaming on the inside. Who do you talk to? To recognize, when you have personality disorders, today you feel you want to be Jack, tomorrow you feel you want to be Harry or Tarzan, you just all over the place, But the depression is something that a lot of people suffer in silence. And who do you talk to? Because you will tell somebody, I'm just depressed, and why? You're a beautiful girl, you're straight. But the silent killer, depression, that millions of people suffer and deal with. In the United States, they said, I think the statistics said it's like every 11 minutes someone commits suicide in the United States. I think worldwide they said like every 3 seconds. So just in this time alone that we've been here, there have been quite a few people that have committed suicide. We did not have to deal with a lot of the things that young people in this generation had to deal with. My heart goes out to young people in these days. The peer pressure is so much more with the things that you all are being pressured to do. Find someone to talk to. And like she rightly said, find a good hobby. Exercises or whatever releases endorphins in your body that helps with your mental state. When you find yourself wanting to move away from people, you want to avoid people, you don't want to have friends, you want to avoid it, that can be a sign that you're starting to deal with mental illness. When you find yourself always thinking negative about your own self, and it's going on for a prolonged period, that can be a sign that you're dealing with mental illness. Please don't suffer in silence, but find somebody to talk to. And be careful who you talk to, okay? Don't just go yapping your mouth to any and everybody, because you know, your friend today might be your enemy tomorrow, you know? So be careful who you talk to, all right? But don't suffer in silence. If you are dealing with severe mental anguish and depression, please understand that there is help out there. You do not have to do it alone, and you do not have to take extreme measures that would end your life. Find someone to talk to. Find and look up for the resources that's in your state or wherever you are. And if you can't, simply email me at the email address that's going to be seen, and I can be of great help to you. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the Kirt Gonzales Show.
Thanks for watching the Kirt Gonzales Show, the home of motivation, inspiration, and victory. We pray you were encouraged with today's show. For more information, visit us on the internet. So until next week, remember, your life has purpose. Victory and breakthrough are just around the corner. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week with another segment of the Kirt Gonzales Show.